usually when I've seen jazz commissions and the premieres of these jazz commissions, I see people, I mean, I felt that they missed the bar. Or, you know, I felt that a commission was something that you had to try to hurdle over. Like you had to reach for something new in it. And about 2 years ago was the celebration of Monk's 90th birthday year. And so around America, there was a lot, or the world, there were a lot of festivals centering around Thelonious Monk. And San Francisco Jazz Festival asked if I would just play the concert Monk at Town Hall. So there's a record, Thelonious Monk at Town Hall. This is the first time that Monk and his band has his music expanded to a large ensemble of 10 musicians. And they asked if I would be the pianist for this.
One of the only times. I mean,
yeah.
He usually played at small ensembles.
Right. So, I mean, I said yes, but kind of reluctantly. And
to just do it, to do the same
right.
show.
Because I thought, well, it'll show only a portion of how much this person of Monk means to me. And so I wrote back to them, I said, I kind of envisioned something much larger as kind of a celebration of Monk. And what would you think about this as a project idea? And so they teamed up with...
and what was this when you said...
This was...
At that point.
At that point, it was like, what if multimedia is such a great word.
Right.
What if I do a multimedia presentation of Monk at Town Hall? I wasn't sure what it was going to be. And
were you aware of what kind of raw materials might be available?
No, I had no idea.
Jason Smith or any of that?
No, I didn't even know about any of that. And that was...
You just knew this record?
I knew the record. I knew that there was enough there between my history and his history that
you could do more
something is there. And I've kind of lived my career through it, kind of exposing itself organically. And randomly, I was in a discussion similar to this at the MoMA, Museum of Modern Art in New York, with Ben Ratliff, New York Times critic, music critic. And before we started, just as we were talking at the bar earlier, I was talking at the bar, Ben Ratliff tells me, I told him that, I'm going to start working on this Monk Town Hall thing. He said, oh, you should, have you heard about these tapes of Monk, rehearsing all this music? I said, what are you talking about? He said, yeah, they're down at Duke, and you should get in touch with this guy, Sam Stevenson, who's been running this Eugene Smith archive, and really check it out. So it's like, well, word.
Were you even aware of the loft, or any of that backstory?
No. And I went down to Duke and spent some days just holed up in their little room, just listening to Monk talk, privately. So as you saw in that photo, Monk knows there's a recorder there, but he's not thinking that, 50 years later, some kid's gonna listen to these recordings and then decide, that there's something to use in here, or that any of it would be in the public, for the public to listen to. Because of the conception sometimes given about Monk is that he's, extremely quiet. And I know a lot of musicians who play with Monk, and they all talk about him rarely uttering a word, But in these tapes, Monk is really discussing his music at great length. He's showing Hall Overton his songs chord by chord, and he plays it, then Hall Overton tries to play it, and he says, you got an extra note in there, it's this,
And Hall Overton was this kind of classical and jazz composer guy.
Right.
Now, and is it still a mystery as to why he was the guy brought in for this? Is it?
There's an answer. I don't know it, but there's no mystery. but that relationship, I think, really became something special because Monk, T.S. Monk, Monk's son, listened to these tapes also, of course, and said, well, it's so clear that Monk had, felt extremely comfortable around them as people, and did not care, and that's why he was so free, And so in the piece on Saturday, I used excerpts of these conversations, Monk talking about the song Little Rudy Tooty. I used like a 6-minute, just so an audience can hear Thelonious Monk talk, We can often see him playing, we often see him dancing in videos. But here's him just, kind of off the cuff, without, really ever having to think about it. He's he's a human being. And that's kind of what I wanted. That was the impetus behind the show, was to like listen to this music and kind of reflect him as a human. But I also want to listen to the music as kind of as an object, and how could I manipulate an object? So I got to thinking about it and decided to listen to the record where every song was playing at the exact same time.
Simultaneously.
Simultaneously.
How do you do that anyway?
Well, GarageBand
Oh,
is
GarageBand.
great. You just load all the tracks in and press play, and there's a massive sound. But what started to reveal itself was some of the songs have these kind of beautiful relationships with each other. And this became like some of the first studies that I was doing on the town hall music, was to listen to the music from a different perspective. So here's one.
So you got these are combinations of...
Yeah, these are some, I call them little collages. Then I looped them over and over again. So that's the song Thelonious with another song, Crepuscule with Nelly. This is like maybe a minute later, it's going.
Same two songs.
Yeah, same two songs, or this is the song Monk's Mood. It's only Monk's Mood in this one. Because I felt at a point that the way Monk plays sometimes, say for that song, which is Monk's Mood, he often plays, I feel like, answers to the melody. So the song is... I think that's an answer one. So it's... It was then to take all of his answers and put them next to each other. So even in the song Crepuscule with Nelly, once I got rid of all the melody and just kept his answers, the song just became... It's a very short and truncated version of the song. And then later we decided to play the whole thing, but I wanted to start to cut at it, because that's kind of how listening to hip hop, people just cut up songs and you use what you love. And so what I kind of really love about the way Monk plays is how he answers his melodies. And so I just started trying to find the answers,